Do we need added fat in our diet in any form, aside from what we get from plant seeds and nuts?
Well, if you look at the ketogenic diet, the birth of the ketogenic diet was literally from a woman, a scientist, whose husband was getting dementia, and proved by him putting good essential fats in his diet, he stopped the dementia, the progression of the dementia. So the answer is yes. As we spoke earlier with the question, really low cholesterol and fat can be problematic for you. And it's not only the brain, it's energy. A long-distance triathlon runner would die if they didn't have some extra fat in their diet. They'd literally chelate. They'd break apart. So you have to individualize this. And you have to look, as we are now, our medical team at Hippocrates, at the state-of-the-art genetics on these things. So there's some of us who can metabolize this stuff well, some who cannot. Some that have high cholesterol all the time, never had a heart attack and stroke. Some have low cholesterol, have heart attacks and strokes. So it's not as cut and dry as we've tried to make it in even natural medicine as in the past. My hope is that everyone who purports that they're a healthcare professional or a doctor is humble enough to stay up with what's going on now. If we don't do that, we're part of the problem. If we are living on what we understood 20 years ago, we're obsolete at that point. There has to be openness to this.
Do you recommend we eat garlic, ginger, burdock root, turmeric root, black radish, and Jerusalem artichokes 365 days a year? What else would you add to this list to eat 365 days?
Well, every one of those that we spoke about are terrific for you. I think to burden the listeners with you should eat every bit of this plus extra every day is a little bit difficult for us. Do I eat them every day? No. Do I eat sprouts every day? Yes. Do I drink green drinks every day? Yes. Do I take B12 every day? Yes. Do I take algae and pollens? Yes, 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 yes. But as often as I can, garlic's in my diet. Anna Maria, my wife, the co-director of Hippocrates, ran a center in Europe. They were known to use garlic therapeutically to reduce inflammatory problems. Unlike in the United States, where we're scrutinized by the government because they are in bed with the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry, over there the government supported that center and did $2.5 million of research and showed, by the way, we're going to send Swedish citizens there because this works better than medicine. So let's start with that. Number two, garlic, I have seen this reverse infections people have had for 2 years. They can't, every antibiotic, everything they used didn't work. You put garlic oil on, you crush the garlic, let it sit overnight, 6-8 hours. You start to put that on. That's so antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. It's just like stunningly good. Garlic has been a medicine from the beginning, the dawn of man, I think. Great for you. And not only the heart. Harvard did a study 45 years ago that literally said it's an anti-cancer agent. Ginger, very unique. Not only is it the best Dramamine in the world, so if you have motion sickness, basically it works better than that, but it also regulates body temperature. So in a very hot climate, it cools you off. In a very cold climate, it warms you up. So it's an adaptogen. It actually is a plant that doesn't make one thing happen, it regulates and makes balance happen with that one. If you look at burdock root, when I was a macrobiotic and helped Michio Kushi write one of his books called The Macrobiotic Way, burdock root is phenomenal, but if you cook it, you're going to lose most of it. So either eat it in its raw state, very hard, you have to chop it up small, or juice it and get the juice out of it. But that is so amazingly good to regulate circulatory activity and help the cardiovascular system in the body. I like fennel too. Fennel the vegetable. And fennel seeds are even good, but the vegetable fennel, I juice this quite often when I'm making juice at my home. Why? Because that opens up capillaries. Remember, almost all your blood goes through capillaries, not veins. Over 3/4 of it does. And those capillaries are super easy to clog up. And what this does is help the fluidity, movement going through there. Garlic does that also, by the way, because garlic kills the microbes that are clogging those up. Remember, your teeth are creating heart disease because the microbes, the bacteria in your mouth, are accumulating, and they are actually clogging up the vein, as we know scientifically, even more than the animal fats sometimes. Now imagine what I used to do, the animal fats plus bad mouth, and then you have a real problem going. So periodontal disease, after 50, something like 80% of the population has some level of periodontal disease. This helps it. This helps it. Name a few more again.
Black radish.
Black radish, amazingly good. Black radish is actually known to be antimicrobial and anti-mutagenic. So it actually helps to retard growth.
Jerusalem artichokes.
Terrific. Jerusalem artichoke is part of a rare family. Stevia is in, licorice is in, the licorice root, and Jerusalem. It regulates blood sugar. So Jerusalem artichoke are in the United States often called sunchoke. Literally, if you juice that, terrific stuff. Regulates blood sugar.
One other one we had was turmeric root.
When I was writing my academic books, a series of academic books called Food is Medicine, I never take off work because I love my work. It's not work. I had to take 4 days off, and I read 2,600 studies. I couldn't see after I couldn't read for 2 weeks after that. And the only thing turmeric or curcuminoids, which are the medicine in turmeric, do not make you do is walk on water. This stuff is magic, I'm going to tell you. I got so excited about it. In our Life Give line, we created something that is by far the strongest one on the market. Without cooking it, without processing it, from 1 kilo, a little over a kilo, 2.3 pounds, kilos 2.2 pounds, we take the medicine out of that for 1 capsule. And that anti-inflammatory is amazing. But the other secret nobody tells you, the number 1 anti-inflammatory is pure water. The number 2 is turmeric. Remember, when you have a fire, you put it out with what? Water.
Can you sum up everything we've talked about in 15 seconds?
I'll try to. So I think what we need to understand is that humans were built to eat plant-based diets. We were built to eat raw plant-based diets, not because we're the one unique species in the world. We are the only species in the world that do not eat raw plants or raw food. Even carnivores eat raw food. They don't cook it. We're not carnivores. We're not omnivores. We're actually frugivores and herbivores. That's what we are. Number 2, you could be the best healthy raw food vegan eating the green diet that we purport is the best in the world and we've researched for 6.5 decades. But by the way, if you don't exercise, you can't be healthy. So you've got to have weightlifting exercise. Or you're going to be weak. You're going to look like a vegan looks. You need aerobic exercise so the brain works. Half the depression goes away with light to moderate depression just from aerobic exercise. Get off your butt and do something. You need stretching, and the older we get, stretching becomes more important. You need to get your head together. I had an incredible childhood. I had parents that loved me. I played music. I do what I do now. Every bit of what I've done throughout my life and been able to support myself and my family with, I've loved to do. But I still was screwed up because our social abnormalities make you question yourself. And the imposition of things that aren't real posed on top of you. So I had to work really hard not to be negative. Because men in my generation were taught if you spit and curse really well, that's all you have to do. Didn't have to know anything. You didn't have the empathy or compassion. Just spit and curse. And I realized that that's not true. Real strength comes out of compassion, understanding, forgiveness. And if you don't do those things for yourself, you can be sick no matter what you eat and no matter how much exercise you do. I hate to use the word spiritual because it's corny and most of the time they incorporate it and make some wacky religion out of it. But we are all connected to a greater universe. And that universe, by the way, is what we need to tap to on a daily basis. Things can be an overwhelming burden for each and every one of us, even those of us that are focused and clear and professional at what we do. We need help. We need to ask that universe to help us. And as a good friend of mine, Larry Dosey, a physician, told me many years ago, he said, you have to do half the work, and once you do, the universe will do the other half. And I believe that. So learn to focus in on yourself. Meditate, pray, contemplate, whatever it takes. Spend time in nature. Today, Anna Maria spent 2 hours with something she's worked on for a year. How in certain countries like Japan, they actually go in for aromatherapy walking in forests. This is an understood therapy the doctors are telling people to do. That you're actually getting pheromones and hormones from the plants. How many of us do that anymore? Put these plants, because we work in cubicles and offices, make walls in your office on these things. There's wonderful people who are experts in that. And grow things that are not hard to grow. Every 3 weeks you water the thing. And even I could do that. So these are the things we need to do. Most recent study, most important study ever done on centurions, showed us that, yes, plant-based diets and exercise are important, but equally important is communication and companionship. 2 studies, landmark studies. People who are lonely, and they estimate 6 out of 10 of us are lonely, die 15 years sooner than people who are not lonely. And by the way, that's the same amount as cigarette smokers. So imagine if you're lonely and a cigarette smoker. Brigham Young University just did a study where they said people over 65, if you don't have 4 close friends, you'll die up to 8 years sooner. So make friends, get out there, socialize, volunteer. All of these things are important for us. And most important, there are people like me and others who love to help you. We want to help you. You know, you can come to a place like Hippocrates, not because we're going to get money from you, because I want to change humanity. And if you come there, we assure you that we're going to make you the person you've always dreamed of being. We're going to help you. We can't make you anything. We're going to help you make yourself that person. And then we have one more contributor in what I call the army of love, so that we have a chance to survive the insanity of humanity today.
What's the one thing I need to do today?
You need to love yourself today. If you love yourself, everything else falls into place. That simple. When we doubt ourselves, when we hesitate, when we're tenuous, the world stops with us.
Why is it important for you to come here and speak at the Real Truth About Health conference?
When Stephen and I 8 years ago talked about this, it was a concept, and then Anna Marie and I enlisted in his army of love. You are being swayed by special interest out there. For instance, the internet now, we know that major pharmaceutical companies are putting billions of dollars in to discourage you from alternative healthcare. This is how they make money. We know that they're on YouTube holding back 8 to 9 million videos on alternative healthcare and people who have reversed disease. Those platforms are gone at this point. The Real Truth About Health is the only authentic platform that truth tellers come to globally, and out of the kindness of his heart, for free, you can watch truth tellers. You can come here, as I'm sitting at the Real Truth About Health, 10 days for free, from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and listen to the world's leaders that will, by the way, be the #1 truth tellers on the planet for their subjects. These are not lightweight people. And a lot of you need that, because you're putting on the television, you're seeing commercials, you're listening to bogus research. Almost all research is paid for by somebody, and the result is given before they even start the research. It's checkbook research is what we call it. And you think some scientist, somewhere, some government's watching out for you. You've got to watch out for you. The Real Truth About Health will teach you to do that. We don't want devotees. We want educated, knowledgeable people to say no. We're not going to go down the road to let 5G kill my children and myself and my family and my loved one. No, we're not going to eat pesticides and fungicides and herbicides on our food. No, we're not going to be negative and be part of the cheerleaders for some crazy idea that has nothing to do with reality. The leaders know. They divide and conquer. So they have you believing there's this side and that side. There's one side, the human side. We don't want you to go out and say, oh my God, they're seeding the skies, which is a fact. So we're all going to die. When you change your heart and you change your consciousness, we stop insanity. Throughout history, it's happened. Mahatma Gandhi showed us that. Wiped out an empire with love. Mandela, who had every reason in the world to come out and jail the people, loved the people and became president. Martin Luther King, who I had the privilege to listen to and get to know Coretta very well, one of my best friends and mentors in the world, proved to us that love heals everything. And they're not special people, they're just people living at a human level. You're just not living at a human level. If you're not jumping up every single day of your life happy with a passion to do something, find that passion. Join together with people like the Real Truth About Health. We're going to make everything okay. We just have to keep marching in the same direction. Don't doubt yourself.